Rafael, welcome to London.
Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Is this your first time?
It's my second time in the past 6 months.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because I'm enjoying it. I love it here.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think you guys have a lot happening when it comes to nightlife especially.
Yeah.
It's very exciting to come into a city and then kind of see the differences and the similarities between, London and New York City.
Absolutely.
So it's great.
Excellent. How you've said there's similarities, are there differences that you feel there is to New York?
Well, I would say the differences are more culturally than anything else. I think that coming from New York City and coming into a city like London and being able to walk down streets and see some of the history that London's had, and see a lot of the new wave stuff that's happening, kind of mixing together in neighborhoods, for example, like Shoreditch.
Absolutely.
It's just, it's exciting and it's new and it's refreshing to kind of come in with fresh eyes and see, excitement and energy happening, especially around its nightlife.
A new take on a vibrant nightlife.
Yeah. It's nice.
So for people who don't know, can you give us a rundown on your position, how long you've been in it, and what it involves?
So I'm a New York City Council member. I am a member of a 51-member body that's in charge of passing legislation, which at the end of the day, the mayor has to approve with the signature.
Okay.
So I am the council member who represents the neighborhoods of northern Brooklyn, where we've seen a lot of nightlife popping up over the past 15 years in neighborhoods like Williamsburg and Bushwick.
Absolutely.
And I also penned the law in New York that created the Office of Nightlife and created our own night mayor.
Right.
I also passed a law to repeal a 100-year-old law called the Cabaret Law, which didn't allow social dancing to happen within establishments if the establishment didn't have a license to allow people to dance. So because of that law, we saw a lot of establishments close over the past 100 years. So I would say I've been an advocate in my role as a counselor in behalf of the nightlife industry.
Okay. So beyond the Cabaret Law, you've mentioned that. How else would you feel that New York has benefited from having representatives that are kind of really pioneering nightlife and trying to bring it up to a position where it's loved again and respected, rather than kind of almost abhorred or feared by legislative entities or even the community? Yeah,
so I think that, New York's brand has been the city that never sleeps. And a large part of that is because we had nightclubs that were very popular, that attracted many folks from around the world, but also retained New Yorkers from wanting to leave New York because of how great our nightlife was. And for many years, nightlife has been criminalized by our government. And I would say probably one of the first or few elected officials in the city of New York to actually be able to understand the benefits the nightlife has on a local economy, whether it be financially or culturally as well. Things that attract people to come into our city, attract people to want to live there, attract people to want to spend their money there. And understanding that, the importance of that, I made sure that I used my role to pass legislation to support that nightlife. So I think that over the years, because of the fact that we recently created this Office of Nightlife, you're seeing more elected officials kind of getting the signal that it's okay to talk about supporting their local bars and local nightclubs. Sure. So we're seeing a lot more of my colleagues actually using this opportunity for them to finally speak up and protect those businesses that have played such an integral role in their communities.
Absolutely. And since you took your position in office, how would you feel that New York has developed? You mentioned earlier, obviously, you've got upcoming areas such as Williamsburg in Brooklyn. The nightlife over there, I know personally that I've been there and seen some amazing clubs and bars. Yeah. Manhattan itself is obviously one of the key hubs of global nightlife, How would you feel that things have developed over recent years? Otherwise, perhaps you mentioned Brooklyn. How about from Manhattan's perspective?
Well, Manhattan, I believe, has seen a lot of the negative consequences of government overreaching and over-enforcing on the nightlife economy. There's a study that came out recently that showed that about 25% of music venues have closed over the past 10, 15 years because of over-enforcement, because of lack of tolerance from local community boards, because of how difficult it has become to get certain licenses to open a venue. And when being a person who's from Brooklyn and seeing how the positive aspects that nightlife has had on the borough, I thought it was important for me to speak out and finally, draw a line in the sand and say we have to stop being a city that over-enforces nightlife and criminalizes nightlife. We have to start opening up the doors and understand the positive role they play. New York. Huh?
Embrace it.
Yeah. Well, embrace it. Embrace the positivity of it. You have a lot of artists. You have a lot of young professionals who network in our nightlife, communities. We have a lot of owners who have put down their life savings to open up the next popular bar. It's a real economy that we have to take seriously, because not only does the nightlife economy support those that operate or benefit from it, but it also spills out into our housing economy. It spills out into our music economy, the music industry that benefits from having these venues open in the city. So we have to think about the bigger picture and not try to criminalize nightlife because of the small nuisances that come out of it.
Sure. And what would you see that bigger picture as being? What would you see the vision for you in your position? Where would you take it?
Well, I think we have to come to a point where community boards, instead of finding reasons to shut down venues, figure out how we create a dialogue to figure out how we can, better the relationship between the community and these venues. If you speak to venue operators, they also want to live in or be able to operate a business in a community that's going to be accepting of them. So we all have to find a way for them to work together, which is why I created the Office of Nightlife and Point to the Nightmare, is because we need to make sure that the city was playing an active role in being that mediator between the two.
Yeah.
And as long as we're able to create this environment, then I think that 2, 3, 5, 10 years down the line, we're going to see a more positive attitude towards nightlife establishments and finally recognize the important role they play and be supportive.
Absolutely. With your time that you've come through so far, again, you mentioned the cabaret law. What other challenges have you felt you've experienced in your time?
Well, the biggest challenge that we're seeing today is that the New York City Police Department can authorize raids on establishments, and when these raids happen, they're called March raids. And when these raids happen, they not only come with the police force, but they also come with every single agency that's in charge of regulating that business, not to go in and work with the club owner to figure out how they can be a better operator, but to look around and find every single little issue within that venue to shut them down at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You have the health department who will come in and say that the towel wasn't placed in the right part. You have the fire department say there's a couch in a venue where it shouldn't be, creating some sort of fire hazard. And their main objective is to shut the venue down. We're recently passed a law that hopefully is going to better the situation, in which is going to create oversight. So now, anytime the police decide to do a raid on a venue, they will have to send a report to city councils like myself to show us why they decided to take that action, and make sure that when they take that action, it's for right reasons, not just
justified.
Because. Right, exactly. Not just because someone made a call about a noise complaint in the community.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like they've kind of got very much of a stormtrooper attitude, just dive in and really take the place over.
Yes, Darth Vader and the stormtroopers come in.
That's it. I'm trying to step away from the Nazi side of things. It sounds a little bit like the Gestapo's coming in at some point. But that's obviously a tough challenge. And once again, as you say, the real problem that it obviously has been globally as well has been just that relationship building and getting some sort of back and forth between the venue operators or indeed festival operators or event operators and those legislative bodies, so that it can, at the end of the day, these guys are still going to go home at night and probably go down to their local bar. So they're, they're only villainizing what they're going to be utilizing as their own entertainment anyway.
Exactly.
So why not work together to make it a better place?
Exactly.
So that's it. That's New York. What about you personally? What's your aspirations in your position to take it forward yourself?
Well, I'm running for higher office as a position called Brooklyn Borough President to represent the entire borough of Brooklyn.
Right.
I hope to use that position, one, because it is a bigger bully pulpit. It's 2.5 million people that I'll be representing, and being able to speak on behalf of that population, especially on issues of nightlife, I think will give nightlife a larger voice in the political and governmental process. So that's what I'm focused on, and the election's in 2 years, so I'm working towards that. Yeah.
Well, good luck with that.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, Rafael, welcome back to London.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah.